So it's been a pretty tough month for Tesla investors, with the stock being down about 18%. And when you compare that to the S&P 500, for example, which is essentially the benchmark of the overall stock market, you can see that that is actually up 5%. So quite a contrast there between what we would call maybe the passive investor investing in the S&P 500 and then people who are a little bit more risky and investing in individual stocks like Tesla. And of course, not just the last month, the whole year, to be honest, no matter whether you invest in the S&P 500 or Tesla stock, it's been a pretty rough year. And for many people who recently got started investing, especially if it was towards the end of last year, you're probably thinking it was a terrible idea and you're never doing this again. But what you'll come to learn is that investing basically happens in cycles. You're going to have some bad years and you're going to have some good years, but overall, historically, it's worked out to be a pretty good idea. But in this video, we're going to put that aside and just talk directly about Tesla stock. Has the bubble burst with Tesla stock, where we've seen it drop 18% in the last month, and year to date dropped about 55%. So what's caused this? Is there some lasting damage that has been done, and will we see the stock recover to previous highs and beyond? So first of all, let's address what got us to this current position that we sit in. So as I mentioned, pretty much all stocks have had a terrible year, and that's just due to the macro environment, the overall economy. If you have any stocks that year to date are currently in the green, you're definitely in the minority because there is not that many out there. But yeah, overall, just want to address that the macro environment definitely has a big impact on stocks like Tesla, but there are a couple of other reasons that have contributed to the stock price going down recently. So of course, the elephant in the room is that Elon Musk bought Twitter, and a lot of investors seem to think that Elon can't possibly concentrate on building Twitter up to a profitable business and then also concentrating on Tesla as well, not to mention the likes of SpaceX and other companies like Neuralink that Elon is involved in. But the way I see it here is that this is a temporary setup. Of course, Elon is putting a lot of effort into getting Twitter to a place where it can become profitable, and that definitely means that he's taken some attention away from Tesla stock, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the company isn't going to do as well during this period. Tesla has been around for a number of years now. Of course, it's still quite a young company in the grand scheme of things, but definitely over the last number of years, it's moved towards a more self-sufficient manner where it doesn't rely on Elon as much. Of course, he's still absolutely integral to the overall business, and it's not like he's not working at Tesla at all while he's working on Twitter here, but I think that it won't harm the company in the long term, Elon taking some time to build Twitter back up. I don't think it will be a permanent solution. I think once Twitter is at a place where he wants it to be, he'll be able to focus more on Tesla again. And as I said, I don't think overall, maybe it's just my opinion, that it will hurt Tesla. The next thing then obviously ties in with Twitter is just Elon's social media presence, especially on Twitter. Some of his tweets can be quite out there, sometimes quite political, and that can tend to divide investors as well. And that of course can cause investors to have a bit of fear in holding a lot of money in maybe Elon stocks. For example, one tweet Elon puts out on a whim could cause Tesla stock to go down 10%, and not a lot of people are comfortable with that. So of course that's one thing, but I don't think that's going to change. He's a bit of an eccentric person, and that kind of just comes with the territory there. So if you are investing in Tesla stock, I think we should all be kind of used to that by now. And another thing I just want to address that I think has caused Tesla stock to go down a bit is a lot of kind of FUD articles, what they call them. Basically, they're just kind of exaggerated articles that just sensationalize headlines that once you actually click in and read, it tells a really different story. So what I'm talking about here is the recalls that Tesla has been in the headlines for recently. So there's been quite a number of these, and while it seems like Tesla would have to do a traditional recall where they'd have to literally take all the cars back in to make this certain fix, if you read the articles, all of them were over-the-air software updates that just took a couple of hours to do that everybody could do from home. So not a conventional recall, but if you just read the headline, you would think it was, and that's obviously causing a lot of investors to panic and take some money out of the stock. And there are some of the contributing factors that I've seen that I believe that is causing Tesla stock to underperform the overall market right now. But let's take a look at some numbers and shed some positive light on the future for Tesla. So if we look at the Q3 earnings report, we look at the financial summary here, you can see that Tesla grew 56% year on year in Q3. And this, as I said, is in a time where the economy is not in a great place and Tesla faced a lot of challenges, for example, shutdowns in China. And still, despite all that, they were able to grow 56%, which is absolutely amazing, especially for the automotive industry. If we take a look at some of the profitability challenges that they faced in Q3, this paints a good picture of how good that 56% growth is. You can see that they had higher cost of raw materials. You can see they also had a negative foreign exchange impact of 250 million due to the dollar going a little bit crazy there, as well as the cost of ramping up production in Giga Berlin. And if we jump to the outlook slide of the Q3 summary, you can see the outlook that they're given. They're still advising on 50% year-on-year growth, which is absolutely amazing. And if they do manage to hit this, we could see Tesla in the next 2 or 3 years, potentially 3 or 4x, which would be amazing. And of course, their cash reserves are in an amazing place. And as they say here, they have sufficient cash to achieve their product roadmap. So it's always good to, when you're seeing these FUD articles in the news, these sensationalized headlines, take a look back at the numbers, look at the actual data, see how the company is doing. And in my opinion, and based on these Q3 results and hopefully the Q4 results to come in a month or two, Tesla is in a really, really good position. It's always good to get a reminder as well of all the different facets that the Tesla business has. Of course, they have their electric vehicles, which is the main source of income, but they also have Tesla Solar, Tesla Insurance. They also have Tesla Full Self-Driving, which is constantly improving. And when more people pick up this subscription, I think will make up for a big portion of their revenue. Not to mention, they have things like the Optimus bot in progress. I think it'll be a couple more years before we do actually see any real money made from that, but then we also have the potential for robo-taxis as well. So Tesla is not just electric vehicles, it has a lot of facets and a lot of money-making opportunities in the company. A couple of risks to call out as well is China. Of course, China is experiencing some turmoil, to put it mildly, and it is obviously a risk. I think it makes up about 20% of Tesla's electric vehicle sales. So with the potential of demand decreasing there, as well as the potential for more China factory shutdowns, that's obviously something to keep in mind. But I think with all the factories that Tesla are continuing to roll out, I don't see this as being a major factor and something that they can get over if it does happen. Anyway, for me, of course, not financial advice, but if anyone is considering putting money in Tesla, it's really important to give it time here, 3 to 5 years at the minimum, and I think we'll see some really good returns on the Tesla stock. Very hard to know how well it will do because they have so many facets of their business. Which one can take off, which one can bring in more revenue, who knows, but Tesla seems to be doing very well, and I'm excited to see what their Q4 results will be. So for me, I'm still buying at every opportunity I get, of course. I think it's a really attractive price right now. But of course, make sure you do all your own due diligence and seek investment advice where necessary. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'd love to know your thoughts on Tesla stock in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you do drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel.